नियत जिसकी अच्छी है, किस्मत उसकी दासी है. कर्म जिसके अच्छे हैं, उसके घर में मथुरा काशी. We've been roughly floating around for about 1500 years. My father is the 76th generation of our family, and it is an unbroken lineage, an unbroken bloodline, which is the world's longest serving dynasty today on planet Earth. One day, when this gentleman came and I held him, he was trying to bow down and touch your feet, and the man got upset. How do you stop me from doing what my forefathers have done? And something that is my right over you. मेरे रगों के अंदर वीर शिरोमणि महाराणा प्रताप का रक्त बहता है.
Describe your house.
If a few square kilometers, so there are a few thousand people that we do hire. So granddad came up with the revolutionary idea saying let's make hotels. And at that point in time in 62, it gave a birth to a lovely hotel which is now more popularly known across the globe as the Lake Palace Hotel in the world today.
Meet the witty and charismatic Prince of Udaipur, Maharaj Kumar Sahib Dr. Lakshyaraj Singh Mewar. From navigating the complexities of modern-day royalty to sharing anecdotes about Udaipur's enchanting weddings, this conversation is a royal blend of heritage and humor. Tune in for a chat that offers a glimpse into the fascinating life of a modern-day prince. Welcome to the Humans of Bombay show, Dr. Lakshyaraj. How are you feeling?
Ooh, a little intimidated, but lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me over. Very, very kind. Thank you.
No, thank you. We've never had a Maharaja on the show. So, when we were formulating questions also, we were like, क्या पूछ सकते हैं? And there were so many questions. Everybody was wondering a lot of things. Does that happen often?
Yeah, but now I'm really curious to know what was it that was going on in your mind. You know, that I'm really keen to know what was. I wish I was a fly on the wall at that time to know what is it that you guys were thinking about.
So we'll start with a little bit of history.
Gee,
so
which is full of mystery, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
So India is such a rich kind of culture, and the princely states were a very integral part of our history, even during the independence movement throughout. Talk to me a little bit about your family history.
Oh, I thought they were going to be easier questions. You put me on the spot right on the first this thing. But talking about history, I think it's a very emotional journey for us. You know, I think first and foremost, I think just being able to put a few things into perspective. A lot of people consider these to be stories. और ये कहानियाँ नहीं है. ये किसी की हकीकत है ये. किसी की सच्चाई है. किसी की दास्तान है, किसी का सफ़र है. It exists in our blood today, which we are very, very proud of, which we respect, and something that is not only restricted as far as the family is concerned. It's for everybody to share.
Correct. Yeah.
So that is one first thing that certainly comes to my mind when we talk about family, or when we talk about history, or when we talk about culture, or when we talk about legacy. We've been roughly floating around for about 1500 years. Okay. So not too long.
Not too long.
Not too long. Yes. My father is the 76th generation of our family. And it is an unbroken lineage, an unbroken bloodline, which is the world's longest serving dynasty today on planet Earth.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And when you come with this kind of a background or this kind of a history, वो बचपन में कैसे आपको लगा? क्योंकि at that point in time you're just a kid.
जी.
और लोग कहते हैं ना कि हमें महलों में बड़ा होना है, महल देखना है.
जी.
You've been raised
जी.
in that environment.
जी.
How was your childhood like?
Childhood, first thing that comes to my mind is like how it was for everyone else. That is what I knew. That is the environment that I was brought up in. And I think in this regard, we don't end up giving too much credit to our parents sometimes. And I guess this platform or this conversation is one of those times where you are able to recognize the amount of hard work, effort that they have put in to make you the person that you are. ऐसा नहीं था कि कभी कोई पाठशाला लगी कि यार नहीं तुम मेरे बच्चे हो बैठ जाओ. अब मैं तुमसे बात करूंगा या करूंगी. ऐसा नहीं हुआ कभी भी. Parents have always been open books. So in that regard, I will certainly say that they were people who really led by example. Both my dad and my mom, in their respective ways. I think just by watching them, looking at them, what they were really doing, kind of kept you focused. So this was really never something that kind of came daunting or was staring me in the face, or you were looking at a mirror somewhere. Or any of that didn't happen.
But this is at home. Now, जब आप स्कूल गए थे, आपने कहा था कहीं इंटरव्यू में ही कि the other children knew more about me than I knew about
That is true.
Correct.
ये मैं आज भी बोलता हूँ.
हाँ.
That is a fact. मतलब उन लोगों को ये लगता है जैसे 6 सींग, 10 हाथ, 20 पैर, 10 नाक, 80 कान. मतलब वो ऐसा कोई ये व्यक्ति होगा. So when they looked at you, you felt as if you were somebody who would come from outer space.
Yeah, correct.
So that certainly was the case, and it still happens sometimes, even today. But now you've learned to be able to deal with it better. Now, over a period of time, you understand that it's nobody's fault, neither theirs nor mine. So yes, so those sort of things do happen, and in this regard, fortunately, most of the time with me, it's been a good problem, because everything that they have had in their mind has been of a very negative nature, and fortunately, they were all very pleasantly surprised. So a lot of myths from that perspective were broken.
But was normalcy a problem?
नहीं.
It was
आटे में नमक जितनी थी, बट उससे ज्यादा नहीं कहूँगा मैं. बाकी तो अगर कहानियां गढ़नी हो और बहाने बनाने हो तो उसका कोई एंड नहीं है.
और जब आप बड़े हो रहे थे, people ask what do you want to be, most common question है क्या बनना चाहते हो.
ये लाइन में वापस ले जाऊंगा कि जब बड़े हो रहे थे तो कम से कम मतलब जो है कि अब मैं कह सकता हूँ कि मैं बड़ा हो चुका हूँ. ये घर वालों को इतना पीस तो मुझे सुनाना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि मैं वहाँ पे यही सुनता हूँ कि तुम बड़े कब होगे. तो अब ये वाली जो लाइन है यहाँ की, मेरा काम हो गया. थैंक यू सो मच. मैं चलूँ.
So what did you want to be? What was the answer to that question कि आप बनना क्या चाहते हो?
ये तो मतलब एक के बाद एक आप मेरे को बड़े पेचीदे मतलब परिस्थिति के अंदर मेरे को खड़ा कर रहे हो. इतना नर्वस मैं पहले कभी नहीं हुआ. अभी मेरे को लग रहा है मेरे 10th 12th दोनों के बोर्ड के एग्जाम एक साथ आ गए, और उसमें भी केमिस्ट्री का पेपर आया है, और तैयारी मैं हिंदी की करके गया हूँ. What did I want to be? I think I'm still figuring that out, what I want to be. But I think the basis of it really wants to stem out from a person who is comfortable with himself, who's happy with himself. And a good person in their own soul. That is, I think, the basis of it. इमारतें तो जो है वो बनती रहती हैं, उतरती रहती हैं, चढ़ती रहती हैं. I think that is part and parcel of life. I think the idea is to be able to do good. There is a formula that one tries to follow in life, which is called the GGGN formula, which is called the greatest good for the greatest number. So that is what I really want to be. जीवन में कभी भी कुछ भी करो, मतलब do it for the greatest good, and then the greed should increase, and then that should be for the greatest number. That is who I want to be.
So we'll move on to the technical aspect. So these are the questions.
तो अभी क्या था?
अभी तो we were warming up.
अच्छा, okay. मतलब अगर यही इतना जो है वो, चलो then I will hold my breath.
आपने कहा था कि perception है लोगों के बारे में कि मैं ऐसा रहूँगा.
जी.
May not be true. They don't know anything.
Correct.
So let's break some of the perceptions that people who are watching the episode also could have.
जी.
What is a typical day in the life of a Maharaja?
देखिए, मतलब सबसे पहली बात तो ये आपने परसेप्शन ब्रेक करने की बात कही, तो इसके ऊपर मेरे पास में एक सोच ज़रूर मेरे दिल दिमाग में आती है. Films from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, मतलब partial 90s, played a very big role as far as this is concerned. और उस दौर में जो है ना, एक राजा को या गांव के ठाकुर को मतलब ऐसा दिखाया है कि जो गुनाह करने के अलावा, अत्याचार करने के अलावा उसने जीवन में कभी और कुछ करा ही नहीं है. मतलब ही हैज़ टू बी अ रेपिस्ट फर्स्ट, ही हैज़ टू बी एन अल्कोहलिक, ही हैज़ टू बी the worst to the people of his village. Those were the predominant things that were being shown. And then the village certainly gets united, and then there is a Messiah who is born, and then they all rebel against that ideology. So that unfortunately for some strange reason is ingrained in people. ये तो ऐसा नहीं है. Now coming to the less exciting part about my normal day, what you call is that you get up, you get to work, you get to office. If it's a holiday, then your children haven't come and bounced on your chest and woken you up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you pack them off. Sometimes go and drop them to the bus stand. Make sure that they're on the bus so they don't come back, and the bus is left and you've seen the bus go, and you've seen the back of that for the next couple of hours. Then you come back, make yourself a nice cup of coffee, not something as exciting and as nice as this, but yes, you try. Make a nice cup of coffee once you get to office, take a breath. And if you get fed up with paperwork, fortunately, we run educational institutions ourselves as well. So sometimes go there amongst the children, go to the art school, go to the art room, or go to the craft room, or be there for some time, talk to them, understand, go to the hostel. sit with them or go to the museums, see what is going around there, meet people on regular days who come in to see you, have lunch. Lunch and dinner is predominantly with family, so that's one time that you all come together and sit down and spend time. And then post lunch, you again carry on your second half of your day. Then if your friends come over, then just be with them, play some cricket if time allows you to, and then evening get back home to your parents and sit down, cook, relax, have a chat, watch something nice and exciting, sit with people, hang out and chill, and then hopefully hit the sack.
Yeah. Seems like a very normal day. Because when we were asking this question, people were like, वो Raja-Praja का session होता होगा आज भी? तो I said, I'll ask. Let me ask, does it happen?
लोग जरूर आते हैं, खूब लोग आते हैं. A lot of people come. A lot of people do come to solve their problems. A lot of people come to tell about what their issues are. So those things do happen. मतलब वो मैं मना नहीं करूँगा. And especially from rural areas and villages and everything and all of that, their belief system and their respect and their faith is still very high, and that is vice versa. It's not only one-sided. दोनों तरफ से है. And that is a huge responsibility.
Yes.
It's not something that you can just take very casually. There is a 90-year-old person who comes and sits down. And one day, when this gentleman came and I held him, he was trying to bow down and touch your feet, and मैंने उसको बाबा को कंधे से हाथ पकड़ के बोला. The man got upset. He literally started to scream. How do you stop me from doing what my forefathers have done and something that is my right over you?
Oh, that's so interesting.
And he literally felt, for a lack of a better term, insulted.
That he was not allowed to bow down.
Yes. And then, you suddenly have a rain check at that time when you feel ki, now I said, I'm this young Joe and this person, and you really feel very awkward. It's not something that, you're very comfortable for it to be. And that person just literally lost the plot.
Yeah.
So then, you got to let them, and that's something that is ingrained in their blood. That is something that has been coming. And he said, you have been taking care of us, and we have been with you all this while. And that is the case even till date, whatever may have happened. But that is their feeling. Can I crush that feeling? Do I ignore that feeling? Do I overlook that feeling?
Yeah.
So, so those are the sort of things sometimes, and they come, they discuss, they talk, and they take you very much as a part of your own. That relationship doesn't need to be established. It's very much in them and in us.
And how do you provide solutions or help, right? Like in the sense like लोग आते हैं अपने
conversation. There are solutions that come out.
Just come out.
Absolutely. अब मतलब बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं जिनका ऊपर वाले की मेहरबानी से समाधान निकलता है.
Wow.
A lot of them are happy and the solutions do come out. And if you have to make a few calls here and there to be able to facilitate their issues and all of that, then and it's predominantly for the right thing.
So, this leads me to a complicated question. I'm sure you'll enjoy
I
it.
thought these were not complicated?
No.
Achha.
A complicated question just by virtue of its twofold. Okay? Ki when you were growing up and as a kid, and now you have your own kids, how do you kind of keep that sense of being grounded when you see reverence and respect of this kind?
जी.
And there is, for a lack of better word, कोई कमी नहीं है.
जी.
There is no financial scarcity, there is no scarcity of power, of all of the things that people strive for in their life.
जी.
You're born with it.
जी.
So in that case, what do you tell your children?
Who we are, where we are is an identity we all must be proud of. So from the perspective of the fact that, when you have power, a lot of people have a certain amount of power. Everybody has a certain amount of contentment in their life. Let's not typecast, isolate certain amount of people. Everybody in their life has some sort of happiness.
Correct.
But till the time we don't start rejoicing and being happy about our own happiness rather than taking joy out of other people's pain, that the day that will stop, this question is going to get answered.
Correct.
That day we will be grounded. How are you going to teach them? Again, as I said, कि कोई पाठशाला नहीं होगी, उसको बिठाया नहीं जाएगा, उसको सिखाया नहीं जाएगा. वो अपने से ही सीखेगा. The fruit will not fall too far
from the tree.
So, so those sort of things are very, very important for you to lead with the right example.
Correct.
So that is how I think those relationships and these journeys kind of carry forward.
Evolve.
So this is how you I think talk to your children or let them know from being in that same environment.
So on that note,
जी.
another sub question is कि you come from such a rich history. जो कहते हैं ना parampara, there are a lot of traditions. There's a lot of weightage placed on that in a lot of families. I'm not just saying it's your family. In a lot of families, where it's just 4-5 generations also parampara, the traditions है, they follow through. In that context, the world has obviously changed.
जी.
जहाँ पे भी जाओ, social media has made it more accessible. You can see somebody's life, you can see somebody's ups, downs. It's very out there in the open.
Correct.
तो वो balance कैसे बना रहता है परंपरा और जो modern kind of practices?
देखिए, इसके अंदर एक बात हमको समझनी पड़ेगी. We very conveniently forget. ये परंपरा कोई इकलौती मेरी नहीं है या कुछ 6, 8, 10 परिवार की नहीं है. ये हर हिंदुस्तानी की है. Some people have chosen to carry that legacy forward.
And to celebrate
it. So they get very typecasted in that, saying, oh, very uncool and oh, old school, and they are living in the archaic world. Why? Because we are following a parampara, which is equally yours.
You just choose not to follow.
You just choose not to follow it. Correct. That's all.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no other difference that has been there. Yes, I am exceptionally proud of the fact that I come from the land of Mewar. मेरे रगों के अंदर वीर शिरोमणि महाराणा प्रताप का रक्त बहता है. पर क्या वो इकलौते मेरे ही थे? He is just not somebody who only belongs to us or me as a family. He belongs to everybody who chooses to follow that ideology of righteousness, being right, not selling your soul, not bowing down or being a coward to your enemy, upholding tradition, fighting for your land till your last breath.
Correct.
That is what we Indians believe in. It says that we have to be true to our tradition. We have to be true to our culture. We have to be true to our values. तो परंपराएं उन सबकी है जो इनको मानना चाहते हैं और बदलता वही है जो बदलना चाहता है.
It's about choice. Correct. In life, as you've gone on, you met, जैसे आपने कहा, सारी दुनिया घूम चुके हो.
नहीं, मैंने कहा जो जितनी भी मैं दुनिया
जितनी भी
अभी देखिए कि ऐसे ही चीजें बदलती है कि मैं सारी दुनिया घूम चुका. लक्ष्यराज सिंह मेवाड़ ने कहा कि वो सारी दुनिया घूम चुके हैं.
जितनी भी दुनिया आपने घूम चुके हैं. Did you find it difficult to identify real people? Because ऐसे भी लोग होते हैं कि they see your title, and this happens across the board. It's not just you. अगर कोई businessman हो, politician हो, टाइटल देख के लोग आपके पास आना चाहते हैं. नॉट फॉर एक्चुअली हु यू आर, बट फॉर हु योर नेम एंड टाइटल सिग्निफाइज. आपका एक्सपीरियंस क्या रहा है इस बारे में?
देखिए, सबसे पहली बात तो हु एम आई टू आइडेंटिफाई, फर्स्ट थिंग, राइट? एवरीबडी इज व्हाट दे आर शोइंग themselves to be till a certain extent. Do people get influenced by some of these things? Yes, they
Correct.
do. Do I experience it? Absolutely, I do. Can you see through it? Most of the times, yes, you can. And so it's a part of life. It's a part of the universe and the planet that you are in, and these things happen, and which is absolutely okay. It's just that you got to be alert on these things, and you just have to make sure that nobody takes you for a ride emotionally, mentally, economically. In all these ways, you obviously and life teaches you these experiences over a period of time, and I think that's something that has always taught us more. The failures in this regard, these teachings have always taught us more, and I think they are your greatest gurus as far as I am concerned. And when such people come, they are the people one interacts the longest with, because the amount that they are going to teach you, nobody is going to teach you.
Correct. So what are some of your learnings? Is there any particular experience that has shaped who you are today? It could be good or bad, where you learned a lesson in a positive way, or something happened that was not positive. Matlab, it took a toll on you, but you still learned something out of it.
I think generally at large, jealousy. इसने मेरे को बहुत कुछ सिखाया. And my enemies, who never wanted you to succeed. So I owe a lot of my success to these two attributes and to these two natures. to one nature and rest of them the people who've always been, because they always shaped me to do well.
Correct. So you seem like, you have a very holistic worldview. Matlab, you speak a lot about different forms of whether it's in some certain way history or philosophy or learnings, right? Like maybe on a spiritual plane, maybe not on a spiritual plane.
Ji.
So I'm interested to know what is the environment that you currently live in? What is the environment that you grew up in? Of course, there are people who would love to know what is it like to live in a palace, but I want to understand.
Lot of space, yeah, to play hide and seek. To play a lot of hide and seek, lot of place, lot of people. So that definitely, yes.
Okay, so we'll indulge. Describe your house, where you grew up and where you are currently.
Is a few square kilometers. So one was blessed from that.
Hide and seek would have been fun.
Hide and seek was fun.
You just won't be found only.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times you just went to sleep, or the other person went to sleep, and then they came out a few hours later. What happened? Mujhe neend aa gayi, Or you just discovered things and areas and places that you weren't allowed to go to. So
where were you not allowed to go to?
The roofs and chaton pe or idhar udhar jo hai, matlab, those were all little, and you obviously wanted to do things that you weren't allowed to do. So yeah, so it was a lot of fun from that perspective. Obviously, a lot of family environment, mum, dad, all our siblings. Then we went away to study. I was away in boarding school for 7 years. Yeah. So that is one thing that I really missed was home at that time, and being with your friends and being with your family. So I think those were just the sense of comfort. It's a comfortable space. It's your comfort zone.
Correct.
So, and you didn't know any better. And home, how it is for everyone, is exactly the same space that it was for me.
It's a feeling.
It's a feeling.
Correct.
Exactly. So that is the feeling that you really miss. Unfortunately, those are still the same jokers, those 5-6 of them who were there with you then, who are still with you even today, grown older, but I think mentally in that emotionally we're still in that same. Space. So which is fun.
Another question that has come is how many staff does a royal family have?
So I think that this is going to be a right and a wrong answer because the whole complex has a lot of people on it, So that doesn't necessarily mean that they are for you directly, Nobody needs more than a few people at the end of the day. So those are the few people that you have. But by the grace of God, we employ a lot of people. That gives us a lot of joy. So there are a few thousand people that we do hire. So which
on
is
the
lovely. On
property,
premise, yes.
Yeah.
So which has hotels, schools, libraries, temples, trusts. All of that. So so they security. So all of them. So there are a few thousand people. That is encompassing all of the above.
Okay. And your family is associated with warriors.
Ji.
And वो कहते हैं ना कि you grew up on certain stories.
Ji.
Were you also told stories about your past, your ancestors, and did that kind of have any kind of impact on you?
So again, that's why I say, so they were not stories. They were the
reality
of
correct.
our life. Yes, of course. So when the जो घर के बड़े बुजुर्ग थे, जब when they used to sit down and talk about it, yes, we obviously learned of them, and those were all realities of what our family did face at that point in time. So those were great learnings, absolutely.
Any one story that you would like to tell us that you've heard?
So clearly, I'm not being able to get through this story business, no?
Yeah, coming back to it.
So the reality of what we are trying to talk about. So when we spoke about the great man himself, V. Shiromani Maharana Pratap, so we'll talk about him. So the word Swatantra, independence, that word was given birth to by this legend. Yes.
Okay.
तो ये जो शब्द हमारे शब्दकोश में या डिक्शनरी में जब जुड़ा, was the first ever battle for independence that was fought by V. Shiromani Maharana Pratap for his land and for independence and for him and for his people. And so that is certainly something that it's not a complete story, but it is certainly a reality.
Correct.
That did happen. But that one line that tells us a lot in terms of how important it is to be independent and what it takes to be independent and to respect independence today for what all our ancestors put together have done a few centuries, a few hundred years
Yeah,
ago.
so you and me can be free.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly, and live the life that we can, and be who we are, and have our independent thoughts. So those sort of values, I think, more than talking about a particular incident, a realistic incident, more than that, the important aspect in that was to be able to inculcate the feeling and the emotion in us of a true quality. Ki
Correct.
not to succumb in front of hardships, or not to have dual thoughts about what the right thing to do is. So those were the predominant takeaways or life lessons from these realistic episodes that took place in our history.
Yeah, yeah. And are these carried forward generation on generation?
Yes, देखिए, अब उसमें क्या होता है, again, there are situations, circumstances and moments that are built.
Okay.
When that moment, that stage, that space, that age that comes, automatically these things
Come up. Okay.
And then they get
So it's not intentional. Matlab, it
no.
happens circumstantially.
Absolutely. So as I said, it's not like a class where you sit down and where you tell them that this is what it is. So there are things that they take off you. Then there are certain things that you tell them on situations or where there is a reason that has propped up to be able to have this conversation. There would be some sort of a logical reason or an incident that would have taken place where this would occur.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So, like for example, in my 10th board, there was, as I gave an example earlier, that I didn't do very well, and then fortunately, then eventually I came over it. At that time, my mom sat down and then told me and gave me. Yes. Sorry, what were you saying? I didn't hear.
Told you an incident.
from the past.
Yeah.
That what it is. So that's what kind of inspires you, and then they tell you that listen, this is still a smaller problem for you to
exactly,
deal with.
and this is what has been dealt with.
This is what has been dealt with. So how you make that problem for yourself a little smaller and doesn't look like as if the world is coming down on you, because in the past or them or in their own ways that they have dealt with things in flesh and blood, in reality, of what they have gone through, which will hopefully inspire you to make you feel better and to be able to deal with your current situation in a far efficient and a productive manner.
So on that note, what do you think is the hardest challenge that you have faced ever?
I think ups and downs are a part of life. They've come and gone. So I really don't feel that if there is something that is coming to my mind at this point in time,
it's not so significant.
Yes. So it's obviously something that has thrown me off so much that yes, things have come and gone. One has dealt with it, but I really don't think that there is any one thing that I can
point out.
Point
out. Okay. Let's talk about your work now. You'll have a chain of hotels, like you were mentioning earlier also. How is that? Like, is it easy to be an entrepreneur or business person where you're dealing with a lot of external people and people who are coming to you for service, right? Service industry specifically. What has that journey been like for you?
So grandfather originally started this. It's interesting. Again, I'll go back a little bit before I come to your question. So what you look at it as today, as hunky-dory and lovely in the hospitality industry and, doing really well. But हमको इसकी बुनियाद समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है, where it all actually began. And when Granddad originally decided, when India became independent, when homes were being converted into hotels and being shared with the outside world, it all began with not as it is today. It really began with the fact saying that कि अब ये राजे महाराजे झूठे बर्तन धोएंगे, right? So and that was in the 60s कि अच्छा अब इनकी ये नौबत आ गई है कि अब इनको बर्तन धोने हैं. So Granddad very easily could have either stepped back from this thought कि नहीं ये नहीं करते हैं. Again, so these are same incidences in life and our forefathers and in history that have taken place that made us stand steadfast on our belief of what we are going to do and have that conviction in you. So this is another example that kind of highlights your the answer to your previous question as well. So when he was confronted with all of this, now अब दिन की दाल रोटी कैसे चले, दिन का बिजली पानी का खर्चा कहाँ से जाए, इतने जो लोग हैं इनकी तनख्वाह कहाँ से जाए, How are you going to maintain and look after all of this?
Correct.
So all these were things that were standing in front of them, in front of him at that point in time, to make sure that yes, these are things that needs to be dealt with. So he came up with the revolutionary idea saying, let's make hotels.
Yeah.
And under these tough given circumstances in the newspapers, how things were being portrayed, projected, but the man slowly but steadily, surely carried on the same path. And at that point in time, in 62, is when we first began with all of this, and that it gave a birth to a lovely hotel, which is now more popularly known across the globe as the Lake Palace Hotel in the world today.
Yeah.
Which is lovely, sitting right in this
It's
beautiful
beautiful.
lake.
I've been.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So you suffered it.
I didn't suffer. It was beautiful. It is one of the best properties. Yeah.
So there you go. So it's an iconic property. It puts India on the
Global level. Yeah, global scale. Yeah.
Global scale, puts Udaipur on the global scale. So all those sort of things. Imagine if those sort of things would have not happened at that time. Then a lot of these things would have just got left away. So these convictions, that belief system was very, very important. So that's where that's how it really began. Today we only see the great side of it. Today we only see the glamour side of it. Today we only see the grandeur of it. But we don't see the hard work that the few people have actually put in
to lay the foundation.
to lay the foundation of all of it.
Correct.
And at that point in time, marketing, obviously you didn't have all of this. So what do you do? So look at again the revolutionary idea and how they came up with. So they decided to do a Bond film.
Oh.
So that's how Octopussy came into Udaipur.
Yeah.
Perhaps one of the worst Bond films ever to be shot. But it put India and Udaipur on the map.
Yeah.
And Roger Moore, the entire crew for so many days that was there, the entire shoot that took place was brilliant. And even so many decades later, you still talk about it.
Yeah.
So those were the sort of marketings that people did at that point in time. And that's what Granddad really worked hard towards. And then Father came in and he took the business forward and increased the number of hotels, put all of those other things on the map. And today we are managing a very successful business, which the two generations from the hotel perspective have done a lot of work for us to be where we are. And we've won about over 20 national awards from the government of India today. So which we are very, very proud of. And I think no one person can take credit for it, just because today you received it in such a wonderful situation. But imagine where it began. And it's only fair to be able to talk about this entire journey as well. So
correct.
We love hotels. I think it's great to be able to share our homes with people. That for me gives the greatest joy personally. Ki come, share, experience when people want to feel how they feel. You now have that opportunity to be able to experience that firsthand. And I think that the fact that it's a people industry, which is what is the greatest thing and the most difficult thing.
Correct.
So yes, so that is what one really enjoys about it.
So personal question on that note is, like I said, I've visited it, but there's a feeling that you get when you're in Udaipur, yes, but even when at the Lake Palace, there's this, like, the people are a certain way.
Ji.
The food is a certain way. You have to take that little boat, come there.
Yes.
How have you maintained all of that? Like, you almost get lost in a different era.
That is true. Well, that is the idea, right? At the end of the day, I think that is what the part is that gets into that experiential segment.
Correct.
That is what you really want to do. And I think the one thing that I did miss out, but I think I'll add it now, is the Tatas. I think we are the lone jokers who've been together the longest in independent India together, any two companies. So we're celebrating over 50 years of togetherness. So at that point in time, Granddad also decided the fact that यार देखो ये एक हद तक तो हम लोग कर सकते हैं, इसके आगे हमारे बस की बात नहीं है. So he then sent his son, my father, abroad for training. कि तुम सीख के आओ. Then my father ended up sending me abroad.
To Australia.
To Australia. कि तुम सीख के आओ. So so this is how things evolve when you say ना कि ये कैसे होता है. So it happens because there is a certain. Then first I was asked कि तुमको hotels करना है, नहीं करना है, तुम्हारा interest है, क्या है. So I was very keen to take this forward because that's what you'd seen, and it was a lot of fun. It was exciting, and it had food and it had all of those sort of things that you really liked to do. So those are the ways where things kind of moved forward, and and now that you know something about it professionally, so when you speak to other people, there is a sense of respect, there is a sense of understanding. So you communicate on the same plane.
Correct.
And I think that is what Udaipur today really stands for, is to be able to talk about that experiential hospitality.
Yeah, yeah.
And the idea is to transport you back in a certain...
It does.
Well, I'm glad.
Which brings me to my next question, is that it's inevitably linked to weddings. Like the wedding...
So that's again a very deliberate and a very conscientious effort done in a certain direction. And a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
To bring it there.
So you can think about weddings when you think about... Yeah. So what are some of the... what are some of the experiences that you've had? The property must have hosted hundreds of weddings.
Yes.
Any particular insights that you have from the wedding industry?
Everybody wants to do one better than the other. पहले वाले से मेरे को अच्छा करना है. I'm not complaining. I am certainly not complaining. I'm very happy.
What is the most fascinating wedding? Tell us.
There are lots of them. Every wedding is fascinating in their own way. Every person is very unique. वो हर मतलब जो है family आती है ना, वो मतलब वो अपना कुछ ना कुछ जो है वो छाप छोड़ के ही जाती है. मतलब कुछ ना कुछ हर व्यक्ति.
Any funny requirements?
ये funny requirement में तो एक ही चीज मेरे को that literally stands out. So obviously these structures are built over 500 years ago and so on and so forth. So there was this one person who came in, said ki, I don't like this color. So obviously there was no response of now you don't like a certain color. You don't like a certain color. We can respect the fact that you don't like. But I really like lovely pungent pink. Why can't we paint this half a kilometer into a pungent pink building? So that was certainly one requirement which had all our jaws on the floor, and the earth literally split. So fortunately, before I could literally respond or react, my colleague who was there, who had better presence of mind, and said that we'll certainly look into your request.
The diplomatic answer, we check.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes silly things like this, and there is no paint on the structure. It's just the original stone, and the color of the stone or the structure or the lime is what it is, which matures over a period of time. And that's it, and you don't touch it, you don't mess with it. It's one of those sort of things. So silly things like this do happen, at least today, yes.
Okay, that brings us to the last segment. So we've spoken about so many different things, right? History and culture and thought process and hotels, and weddings also have happened, by the by. What do you think is now that aspect that drives you? Because life is going good only, but everybody needs that certain drive, that certain ki mujhe ye karna hai. So what is that for?
Philanthropy.
Okay.
Yes.
What you mentioned earlier.
So that has really been something that is really kind of an education predominantly. These are two things that have really kind of ticked with me. Never something that I ever thought, if you'd asked me this maybe a decade or a little less, I would have never said this. And in the last couple of years, in this short period of time, having 7 Guinness World Book of Records in the field of philanthropy was something that I never ever dreamt of. But that was the last thing on my mind, and the only lone joker on this planet to do it either. So, and it just kicked off by default. And then suddenly, it wasn't something that I was going out to seek, but as there is a saying that goes, you are seeking what is seeking you.
Yeah.
So this is literally what ended up happening. And then on a daily basis, you started to do all of this, and that is what really kind of keeps me going. And another thing that answer this question on 2 levels that comes to my mind. One is those preconceived notions, and one in terms of what I like to do. So us jokers have always been tried to be thinking of the fact that कि ये महिलाओं को आगे नहीं आने देना चाहते हैं. They don't want women to come forward, or they don't want them to get educated, or they don't want them to be in the forefront. Our family has been a family that has been teaching the girls, not for the last 25 years, not for 50 years, not for 75 years of what we are celebrating our independence of this beautiful nation, not 100 years, not 125 years. It's been over 150 years. In 1864, when the first girl child school was opened by the family.
Wow.
And that is still going on till today. And which the foundation today is still supporting.
The girl child.
Yes.
Yeah.
School.
School education.
And all that, and I'm very happy to share the fact that all the girls who are there are being looked after by us for this year, and we're taking care of them, and that is what the foundation is being able to do. So which is brilliant, and that is what drives me. So both these sort of things, I think it's brilliant that one has the opportunity to be able to do this, and the reason to share it is to motivate others. That even whatever little that one can do, you must. Don't worry about the quantum, the quantity, or the larger picture of it. Just do what you can in your own small way, or whichever way. There is no small or there is no big. Just do what you got to do, and that will give you a lot of joy and a lot of satisfaction. And something that I've just done literally recently, just before coming here, and it kind of really fills your heart and motivates you to kind of do more. So it's just that. So yes, that is what is certainly keeping me going.
No, and congratulations, that actually didn't come up in our research. This little thing about girl child education hadn't. Huge congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yes.
We're down to our last question. What advice would you give the youth who's watching? And this can be on many fronts, because there are people who, like you said, they feel underconfident. They feel in the face of challenges to give up. And who don't necessarily know what they want to do in life.
Fair enough. No, that happens. So can I answer this in two?
Yes,
there are two
absolutely.
couplets. There is one line and there is one couplet. That I think will, and it's their takeaway, because you cannot give anything specific without knowing what exactly the issue is.
Correct.
Right? So at a generic front, they now need to apply this in their situation. So what advice that I would really give to the youth, the one advice that, and advice is not my thing, a suggestion certainly, is कि सोच को इतनी गहरी मत करो कि फैसले कमजोर होने लग जाए. That is the one thing that I will certainly tell the youth. The youth just starts mulling over so much, overthinking, and then they don't get anywhere. It's like a dog trying to chase its own tail and going round and round and round and round, and you travel 100 kilometers but on the same spot, but in no direction. So the idea is that सोच को कभी भी इतनी गहरी मत करो कि फैसले कमजोर हो. And there is the other aspect to it, to apply this. When you do apply it, so this is 50% of it, and the other 50% that comes to my mind is कि नीयत जिसकी अच्छी है, किस्मत उसकी दासी है. कर्म जिसके अच्छे हैं, उसके घर में मथुरा काशी है. So so these are the only things that I say. So keep your intent pure and clean. So once your intent is pure and clean, you will be in a situation to receive. And उससे जो कर्म होंगे ना, वो बहुत अच्छे होंगे. Then you don't need to worry. And ये तब हो पाएगा जब हम लोग हमारे दिल और दिमाग को ज़्यादा जोर में नहीं डालेंगे, उसके ऊपर ज़्यादा वजन नहीं डालेंगे, ज़्यादा सोचेंगे नहीं और उसको गहरा नहीं करेंगे.
Powerful lines. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been so refreshing.
Thank you.
And
thank you for suffering me.
No, learned a lot. I will think 2-3 times before saying the word story again for the next few weeks.
You can see my terrorist face when you say the word story. Yes.
No, but thank you for the time, and
Pleasure.
It was absolutely lovely.
Thank you so much for having me. Very, very kind. Thank you. And we hopefully get the opportunity of having you in our part of the world in Udaipur. And then show it to you slightly differently than what you may have experienced in the stories that you have of the past.
Okay, done. Thank you for being the best community, and we'll see you in the next one.